it's not, in my view, true to say that youth in the area doesn't have enough to do. That is, if you like, the conventional wisdom, and it's not, I think, entirely right. What we're hoping to do is to take a different approach. We think that merely entertaining teenagers is not useful. There is a lot of research which shows that very unstructured youth activities can actually be harmful. In other words, a place to hang out, play table tennis and pool, and do not much more. We think we've tried this here, it wasn't a success. Here in Clerkenwell, there is the additional problem that the more unstructured and unsupervised the activity is, the more likely it is to attract what we call the hard-to-reach kids, who are possibly already involved in a gang of some sort, and who actively don't want to have anything structured or supervised by adults. In the case of this centre, we think we're no longer resourced or experienced enough to deal with such a group. The council has a number of outreach services for teenagers in that category, and we think we have to leave it to them to deal with them. Our approach here is only formative, but it goes something like this. We want to take a long view, and we want to prevent the group of hard-to-reach youth being perpetually reinforced by new groups of teenagers. So we would like to provide some structured and other activities for younger teenagers, and I'm talking 13, possibly even 12-year-olds, who already go to the adventure playground here, and introducing them to the teenage world and to reconnect them with their local community. What we've got here is what I would call an intergenerational apartheid. We have a lot of kids growing up here in very poor family circumstances with not very good parenting. The only adults they ever come across are their parents, if they're lucky, one parent if they're less lucky, their teachers, and perhaps a youth worker, who indeed can do good work. Unfortunately, there is very limited contact with the wider adult community of which they are part. Now, I admire the African saying that it takes a whole village to raise a child. And here in London, and I think many other places, we don't do that. Bringing up children is left to some rather inadequate parents, some schools which do their best but can't do everything, and the occasional youth worker. And the rest of the community is left behind. And it's not a surprise to me to feel that when the kids reach teenage, they feel not part of their community. They hardly know any of their neighbours and other adults in the community. They've never met them. In some ways, they have been vigorously protected from from meeting them, from getting to know them. So we have some ideas for a programme of activities for young teenagers, which will reconnect them with the wider community of which they are a welcome part. And that includes, for example, we have an idea for communal meals where adults and children will jointly cook and serve and eat meals together. We have other ideas too. I have an idea that we might form an intergenerational band or
music band.
Orchestra, yes. And this is something that adults and children can come together to do to the great mutual advantage of both. And in this way, and over some years, we will reconnect our teenagers with the community. Conventional youth activity in the area has clearly not prevented the major problem that we now have. There has been something badly wrong, and I think it is possibly because it has been a bit unstructured, and because it doesn't take account of the different mobility of local kids. But underlying it all, I think, is the cycle of deprivation, particularly on the estates. One has to realise that 43% of households on these estates are workless. Some children have never grown up in a household where somebody goes out to work, ever. And it's not difficult to see how, bearing in mind the other factors I mentioned, like school and the lack of adult role models in their lives, it's not difficult to see that some people come out of school age 16 utterly unprepared, socially, emotionally, and in terms of their qualifications, for the adult world in which they then arrive. And sadly, it seems that this problem repeats itself generation after generation. So there are no instant cures here. We have to go very deep into the way we live